Coming up on the show today, we have two more events to review, Inspiration and the Malaysia show. Also three shows to preview, Uta Takami's Homecoming and the back-to-back Organizing Festival. Two roster members grabbed gold outside of TJPW, a big star is returning next year, and a very happy birthday to Suzume. All that and more coming up on the Tokyo Joshi Pod. Stay tuned. Hello to all you big children out there. Konnichiwa! And welcome to the Tokyo Joshi Pod, your weekly dose of everything Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. I'm your host, Andy Zyke, and we've got a lot to chat about today. Yu made her triumphant return to TJPW at the latest Inspiration show, and TJPW took a trip to Malaysia as well. There are three upcoming shows to preview, Uta Takami's Homecoming show, and both of the Organizing Festival shows. There's lots of single matches on both of those cards. Kaya Toribami and Miyu Yamashita won some tag team championships outside of TJPW. We'll have to talk all about that. We have a few minor news items to cover as well, and oh yeah, Yuka Sakazaki is coming back to TJPW. Yuka is coming home next year. We'll dive into that news as well. Really, really excited for that. Next week is American Thanksgiving here in the US. I think the pod schedule is going to remain mostly unchanged, but we will have a new episode next Friday. It might be a little bit shorter than normal. Earlier this week, we dropped our very first beginner's guide. I hope you guys have enjoyed that. If you're new to TJPW, please give that a listen. If you're new to the podcast, that's a terrific place to start as you dive into this show, as you dive into TJPW as a whole. If you have friends that have expressed interest in TJPW or just different types of wrestling, feel free to send them that episode. It's a great primer. It's a great way to get your feet wet as you get a little bit more interested in TJPW. And in TJPW land coming up, we actually won't have any live shows for a little while. The next live show won't be until the December 7th Ocha Pro pay-per-view show on Wrestle Universe. And then I believe after that, the next one is the Christmas show on the 20th or the 21st of December. So we have quite a string of video-on-demand shows, which is fine. We still have recorded shows, but it'll be interesting to see. It's going to make things probably a little bit trickier to watch and review those shows as a whole. So we'll see what the upcoming podcast schedule looks like given the holidays, given this awkward schedule. But don't worry, we'll make it through. Every Friday, there will be a new Tokyo Joshi Pod. Let's kick off the news with probably the biggest story that we've had in quite some time. Yuka Sakazaki will be returning to TJPW beginning in 2026. Now, not full-time. Don't get too excited. She is still signed with AEW and Ring of Honor, but it's going to be awesome to see Yuka Sakazaki back in a TJPW ring once again. This is going to be Yuka's first time back in Japan wrestling for TJPW since TJPW 2-5, this year's Korakuen Hall January 4th show. Yuka will be competing on next year's January 4th Korakuen Hall show, TJPW 2-6. They also announced that she will be coming back for Grand Princess 2-6 as well. So get the rumor mills started. I want to know who you think Yuka Sakazaki's opponent will be on both of these shows. I'm crossing my fingers that at Grand Princess, we might see her take on Miyu Watanabe for the Princess of Princess Championship. That would be an absolute dream match. It is really Miyu's last hurdle to climb. She has beaten all of the other pillars, but she has not had a chance to beat Yuka Sakazaki yet. That would be a really terrific match for that Grand Princess show. Remember that Grand Princess show is at Ryogoku Kokugikan as well, so what better way to sell out that arena than a wonderful dream match between Yuka Sakazaki and Miyu Watanabe. And it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen at TJPW 2-6 as well. Will we get a reformation of the Magical Sugar Rabbits once again and a tag team with Mizuki? That would be really cool. We don't have too much information about TJPW 2-6 just yet. And speaking of TJPW 2-6, we actually have a press conference coming up, and it will be open to the public this time around. This press conference is going to be held on Wednesday, December 3rd, and TJPW has said that part of the card for TJPW 26 will be announced during this press conference. So not the full card, but I believe, let's see, we have two matches already decided, the annual Hyper Misao and Shoko Nakajima singles match, and then the Princess of Princess title match with Miyu Watanabe taking on Suzume. And in total, I think they said there's going to be around 9 to 10 matches. So maybe we'll see an additional 5 matches announced here, something like that. Hopefully, we'll see maybe what Aja Kong will be up to because she's been announced for that show. Hopefully, really, Yuka Sakazaki as well. It'd be really cool to get an understanding of who Yuka's going to be facing and how she's going to be involved, but they might hold that one for just a little bit longer. But there will be a few talent here as well. Yuki Kamifuku and Wakana Uehara, Ober Eats will be in attendance, so we'll probably hear maybe who their opponents will be if we don't know by then already. Also, Arisu Endo is going to be there, so we'll likely have a little bit of a clearer picture for the International Princess Championship match as well. They did say that there will be some more attendees as well. They just haven't announced who yet. They also said that Suzume is going to be there doing a watch along with some previous singles match footage between her and Miyu Watanabe. So quite a little neat thing. I don't think that's going to be shared online. I think that's just for something, just for the people that will be in attendance. But part of this will be shared via YouTube, and TJPW has announced that the part of this press conference that focuses on the TJPW 26 match card announcements will be shared on YouTube. So come December 3rd, we'll have a little bit of a clearer picture of what the January 4th Corcoran show is looking like. Speaking of Corcoran, this isn't really news, but I did come across this and I thought it was kind of cute, so I wanted to share it. The Max Heart Tournament Finals will be taking place from Corcoran Hall on February 14th, Valentine's Day. And to get into the theme of Valentine's Day, TJPW is selling like front row supersized tickets, and they're calling them Valentine's seats. And so you get the front row seat, and then you also get, usually with these like special seats, you get some sort of a signed item. And this year I believe they're giving away a signed Valentine from a performer of your choice. I just thought that was fun. It's not really news, but if you happen to be in Japan in the middle of February and you're going, try to pick up one of these special Valentine seats. In other news, we have our first match announced for the upcoming TJPW Live in Bangkok show. This is going to be taking place in December, I believe on the 13th, and Miyu Watanabe will actually have a pit stop on her way to facing Suzume at that TJPW 26 show. After the IWA Thailand Setup Thailand show, which took place last Friday, we'll talk about that show in just a little bit, Matcha, the current Setup Thailand Women's Champion, challenged Miyu Watanabe for the Princess of Princess title, and Miyu has come out and accepted that challenge. So it has officially been made official, to be redundant, that the Princess of Princess title will be on the line at TJPW Live in Bangkok, Miyu Watanabe defending against Matcha in her third title defense. And they have also announced that should Miyu lose this match and lose the title to Matcha, her January 4th singles match with Suzume will become a non-title singles match. I really don't expect that to happen, to be honest with you, but this should be a fun match regardless. Matcha has had a chance to mix it up with some TJPW girls really over the last few years, and she's never really disappointed. So this should be a wonderful match, a wonderful title defense, great headliner for this show. And just as a quick refresher for this TJPW Live in Bangkok show, there's only 5 or 6 matches in total. There's only going to be a handful of the roster in attendance. Yuki Kamifuku, Arisu Endo, Shoko Nakajima, Miyu Yamashita, Raku, Suzume, Pam Harajuku, Yuki Arai, Kaya Toribami, Shino Suzuki, and Uta Takami. So you get a good handful of the roster, but not the complete roster. There's also going to be Alexis Lee, who wrestles out of Singapore. She's also been in TJPW here and there over the past few years. Alexis Lee will be on the show. And then prior to the TJPW show that's taking place, Setup Thailand is actually going to be hosting their own show in the afternoon. And then sandwiched in the middle of the two shows is going to be like talk events and different entertainment for the people that are there live in attendance. Now, this isn't really major news, but I didn't really know where else to slot it within this show, given we have some smaller shows that we're going to be reviewing. So I wanted to talk very briefly about the DDT Ironman Heavy Metalweight Championship, our favorite championship here at the Tokyo Joshi Pod. Mihiro Kiryu, who is our current champion, actually briefly lost the title this past week. She ended up defending it in another game of Mahjong. I think this one went about 80 minutes, so maybe I was wrong before. Maybe Mahjong games do take almost an hour and a half. I don't know. But she ended up defending the title against a gentleman by the name of Shinji Torigoe, who is a professional Mahjong player who actually taught Mahiro how to play Mahjong. And in this game of Mahjong, Mahiro lost, so Shinji became the 1,783rd Ironman Heavy Metalweight champion. But almost immediately, another gentleman who was participating in the match, Ken Oka, Shinji was making fun of him, making fun of the tank top that he was wearing, and Ken got very, very upset with this, choked out Shinji, and left his tank top resting on top of his chest, Shinji's chest. Of course, there was a referee there because of the Mahjong match that took place right before. The referee saw the tank top pinning Shinji, made the 3 count, and sure enough, our 1,784th champion was Ken Oka's white tank top, which Mahiro, still in the room, immediately saw that the white tank top became the champion, gave it one of the most powerful body slams that you will ever see, and pinned the tank top to regain the DDT Ironman Heavy Metalweight Championship. Here she is, the 1,785th champion now. A little brief excursion there for Mahiro. She lost the belt for maybe all of 15 to 20 minutes, if that. Just something fun. Thought I'd throw it into the news section this week. Also, some fun news. Next Thursday, November 27th, is Suzume's 27th birthday. So a happy early birthday to Suzume, born on Thanksgiving, or I guess maybe not born on Thanksgiving, but her birthday falls on Thanksgiving this year. So that might be a little bit interesting. I don't know if Thanksgiving is too huge of a holiday over in Japan, but I digress. Suzume's 27th birthday. If you recall, TJPW did have a joint birthday party for both Suzume and Yuki Aino, whose birthday was towards the end of October. That took place back on November 11th. They basically split the difference between those two birthdays and held this talk variety event. It was called Yuki and Suzume's Middle Happy Birthday. Very literal name for the event. I haven't seen any footage of this. It was live streamed, and you could have purchased a ticket to watch it live streamed, but I haven't seen any footage of this surface, nor have I seen any footage of previous birthday events like the Rika Tatsumi ones. So perhaps these are just little, small events that are done in the moment. But regardless, it's really nice to see TJPW celebrate their talents' birthdays, and a very early happy birthday to Suzume next week. And with our news out of the way for the week, a little bit of a shorter news week, but certainly some heavy-hitting items in there, especially with the Yuka Sakazaki news. But let's transition into our event reviews. We do have 2 events that took place over the past week. The first one is the event in Malaysia. Good Life presents Love and Peace. This took place on Saturday, November 15th from a venue called Geospace in Selangor, Malaysia. We don't have any video of this yet, but TJPW has announced that video on demand will be coming to Wrestle Universe. No date coincided with that announcement, so I'm not quite sure when we'll see this event. It has only been about 4 or 5 days at the time of this recording, so maybe it's taking them a little while to return to Japan and kind of parse through the footage, edit it. I think they have to edit out or maybe mute some of the musical songs that took place just due to certain copyright restrictions and whatnot before they upload it. So perhaps that's just what's going on under the hood. But no fear, I do think we'll get this match or this event uploaded pretty soon. What we will do, since we don't have the full footage, is we'll just run through some of the results pretty briefly based on the show notes that TJPW released after the event. And then once we do have a chance to watch this event in full, perhaps we'll cover it in a little bit more detail. No attendance figures were announced just yet, and we did only have 8 TJPW wrestlers on this show. So it was a joint show alongside DDT and Malaysia-based promotion, MYPW. We did have multiple idol performances as well. KLP 48 performed, NGT 48 performed. KLP is the Malaysian-based idol group. And then, of course, we also saw the Up Up Girls perform. The Up Up Girls actually performed 4 different songs. They did a little bit of a mini set for the people in attendance. They sang Stand Up Proof of Love, Momentary Idol Memorial, Labumoto, Love You More, and also Upper Kick. I'm really actually looking forward, my nerdy side here coming out, really actually looking forward to when this show releases to hear some of these other Up Up Girls songs that we haven't heard in quite a while because we've been hearing Love You More so often. We haven't heard Upper Kick in a minute. We haven't heard Stand Up Proof of Love, so that'll be a fun part once this gets released. In the first of 4 matches on this show, this was an MYPW sponsored match, so the local Malaysia promotion. Fienic Rose and Love Warrior Swal, who are known as Love and Freedom, defeated the team of Wonder Boy and Miles Carew, who are known as the Juicy Boys. I love that tag team name. In 11 minutes and 35 seconds. The second match of the show was our first TJPW match. Shina Suzuki and Uta Takami defeated Marika Kobashi and Kira Summer when Shino pinned Kira with a belly-to-belly suplex in 9 minutes and 45 seconds. Bit of an interesting ending with a belly-to-belly suplex. We'll have to, when this comes out, we'll have to take a look at that and see why this match ended with a belly-to-belly suplex. But awesome to see Shino get a win, especially with the recent loss at All Rise. The third match of the show was a 6-man tag match, and the team of Sanshiro Takagi, Shinichiro Kawamatsu, and Iman Osman defeated Chris Brooks, Shota, and Jack Alexander in 15 minutes and 19 seconds. And then in our main event, we had a 6-woman tag team match, our other TJPW match of the evening. Really, really cool to see them get the main event of this show. Miyu Watanabe, Yuki Arai, and Raku defeated the team of Yuki Kamifuku, Mifu Ishida, and Malaysian wrestler Papi Shea when Miyu Watanabe pinned Mifu with the teardrop in 11 minutes and 37 seconds. Interesting show. I'm curious how long this took, given there were 4 matches and 3 different idol groups performed. All of the idol groups sang, I think, like anywhere between 3 and 4 songs. So certainly probably a 2-hour show. It looked from the pictures that the people in attendance had a lot of fun. There were a couple of backstage comments as well, and everybody just basically said the event was a huge success. They had a lot of fun, and they want to come back. Yuki Arai even got a chance to sing with some of the idol groups as well, so that was pretty cool. So looking forward to see this get released on Wrestle Universe, and we'll keep you updated once it does get posted. Our second show of the week, TJPW Inspiration number 10. I don't know if this is officially numbered, but it is the 10th Inspiration show in the sequence of Inspiration shows. So TJPW Inspiration number 10 took place just on Wednesday, November 19th, so just yesterday as of the day I'm recording this, from the Shinkiba First Ring in Tokyo. This was live on Wrestle Universe, and with these Inspiration shows, remember these are more of like the bite-sized shows, so it's not a full card, doesn't have the full roster on board, so it's only about an hour and a half. It's a very bite-sized, easy-to-watch episode of TJPW. Attendance for this show, 247, which TJPW is listing as a sellout, and because it was the Shinkiba First Ring, this crowd was very loud throughout the entire show. The last time TJPW was here was just back in September for their Autumn Victory Tour, where they drew 284. Prior to that, they were here for Sayuri Namba's Produce show, where they also drew 284. Now, you might be thinking, well, 284, that's more than the 247 people that were in attendance for the Inspiration show. How could this Inspiration show be a sellout? It doesn't necessarily depend on the venue. It depends on how the promotion, how the act, like whoever's going into a venue, depends how they set the venue up. So if TJPW decided to only put out, say, 247 seats for this event, then they fill those seats, it's considered a sellout. If in the past they decided to squeeze 284 seats into the venue, then that's their goal for a sellout. So that sellout number can fluctuate. And that's the same for any promotion. That's the same for any major arena. If you go to, say, like Madison Square Garden in New York, for example, based on the number of tickets that are issued, that's what you go for based on the sellout numbers. Only 10 TJPW talents were on this show, as I mentioned, a little bit of a smaller show. We opened up with Rise Shirai giving some opening remarks and announcements. We didn't have the Up Up Girls here. We did have Raku on the show, but the other Up Up Girls were not in attendance, so Chika Nanase came out to give the opening call. Chika was not on this show as a wrestler, but she was working it as a second and a ring attendant. So Chika Nanase got a little bit of mic time and was able to give our opening TJPW start call, which was really cool to see. Our first contest, a singles match between Kaya Toribami and Toga. And something else that was cool to see, Kaya came out with that IWA Japan setup tag title that she recently won with Miyu Yamashita. We'll talk a little bit about that show during our excursion corner. But nice to see Kaya come out with that belt. Just really fun to see Kaya holding a belt, period. This match was an interesting clash of styles. Kaya is a lot more of an acrobatic performer. Toga is a little bit more grounded, a little bit more strength based. So, an interesting clash of styles. They had some really fun exchanges building off of that dynamic. There was a particularly fun sequence where Toga was able to muscle out of the bird cage and attempt a rock bottom, only to be put down with a Pele kick from Kaya. Overall, though, fairly even contest. Kaya did seem maybe like half a step ahead of Toga throughout some of this match, but really evenly matched up. Kaya does end up winning with a Sento Choryu in 8 minutes and 29 seconds. And when she hit this Sento, she basically landed right on Toga's face and had to check on her after the match. I think Toga was able to kind of turn her neck and avoid it or take the brunt of it maybe on the side of her face, but it looked like it was a little bit misaligned, and this is the second time we've seen Kaya just slightly off with this move. A couple of weeks ago, she hit this move on Uta Takami and basically knocked the wind out of her. So it's a really cool move. I don't want to see Kaya stop doing the Sento Choryu, but I do hope that she can just fine tune it a little bit and just make it slightly safer because it is a really cool move. This is the one that she kind of springboards off of the middle ropes and does this twisting senton, lends itself really well into her acrobatic style. But Kaya picked up the win here over Toga. Our second match of the evening, another singles match, and quite frankly, this might be the match of the night. And just, you think I'm kidding, but just you wait. This was a singles match between Rika Tatsumi and Gabai Jichan. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Gabai Jichan, he is this character who is an extremely old man. So if you were to translate Gabai Jichan, it basically means extremely old grandpa. The individual that plays this character wrestles as Psycho. He's been wrestling since 2001, so he's been in the game for quite a while. He also pops up in Choco Pro quite often as Swasadi Kamen. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Choco Pro and recognize Swasadi Kamen. Does wear a mask as well, that character. But overall, Psycho, really talented performer, and you'll see as this match goes along, just quite some of the talent that he has and some of the maneuvers that he can do, and some of the character work he can do as well. Rika entered first, and Jichan did come out second, and boy, did he take his sweet time getting to the ring. TJPW actually acknowledged that on Twitter. I think the quote was something like, "The grandpa who takes an entrance as long as the life he's lived," which I thought was really funny. Rika was pretending to worry about him as he was like climbing down some of the ringside stairs and just overall moving at an absolute snail's pace. But he is an extremely old grandpa, so you gotta let him take his time, get to the ring all in due time. He's lived a very long life. I don't know who was seconding this match. I think it might have been Ren Kanatsu, but she was leading the slowest clap along I've ever seen in my life. It's really funny. At one point on his way around the ring, Ji-chan stops and sits down and takes a rest, which was a terrific character moment, and everybody was just having a blast. Rika, of course, was like timing him, like, "Hurry up, Grandpa, what are you doing? Let's go, we have a match to have." But the crowd was just eating this up. I think it legitimately took him about 5 minutes to get his way all the way out the entranceway, around the ring, and then into the ring. Rika tried to be a lady and open the ropes for him, but he thought that she was getting a little bit too close and hit her with his cane. And he motioned over to Daisuke Kisa, who was the referee for this match, saying, "She's getting too close. What the heck is she like? Back her up. We're not fighting yet." So I thought that was funny as well. They start off this match with Rika trying to speak with him, but in another really funny bit, Ji-chan can't hear her because he's old, he's hard of hearing. She does try kicking his cane away, but he's able to just reverse it and keep hitting her with that cane. Rika gets fed up and tries to choke him almost right from the start. He plays dead, and Rika thinks that she has killed Ji-chan in a bit of a dark comedy moment. She starts crying, but it was all just a ruse. Ji-chan tries to roll her up, only gets a 2 count. As you can imagine, just from the start of this match, the rest of this plays out. It is mostly comedy. Ji-chan is doing everything he does is basically slow or weak. He uses his cane quite a bit. He falls over. He hurts his back at one point, which is pretty funny. But quite frankly, these two together are just a perfect pairing. Rika is able to play off of that energy, and Rika, of course, is a very comedic wrestler in her own right when she wants to be. Truly a perfect duo here in the ring. There's a great spot at one point where Jitron does a tightrope walk on the top of the ropes, and he's using the cane to like balance himself as he's tightrope walking across the ring, which was quite funny. Towards the end, Jichan gets really fed up and actually breaks his cane. And in a typical Gabai Jichan match, if you haven't seen them before, this is part of the humor and part of the shtick. He ends up like flipping a switch at one point. So he breaks this cane and then he just goes full speed. He starts dodging Rika's attacks, kicking, running all around the ring. At one point, he attempts a moonsault and lands on his feet, but that actually leads to the end of the match because he hurts his knee, not legitimately, just being an old man, hurts his knee on the moonsault and tries to put on a figure four submission onto Rika Tatsumi, but she immediately rolls him over and he immediately taps out. So Rika kind of accidentally wins this singles match via submission in 11 minutes and 31 seconds. After the match, they do shake hands. Ji-chan tries to claim that he kicked out at two, which I thought was kind of funny. And then he does, on his way out of the ring, swing his cane at Rika one more time. So there was certainly some love lost there. This might not be everybody's cup of tea. It is obviously seeped in comedy. This is a comedy match. You're not going to see a lot of technical five-star mat classic here, but to me, wrestling is about storytelling. This is wrestling storytelling at its finest. You don't need to speak Japanese to understand this. The performers don't need to be speaking English or any other language to be able to understand this. This comedy is physical, visual, and these two performers did one heck of a job keeping that entire crowd entertained, and I'm sure tons of viewers on Wrestle Universe entertained. So kudos to Gabaiji-chan, Psycho, and Rika Tatsumi as well for putting this match together. I say this half jokingly. It truly might be my match of the night, which sounds crazy to say given some of the other matches we got, but this is just thoroughly, thoroughly entertaining. I would highly recommend you go seek this one out if you haven't watched it. In our semi-final of the evening, we had a tag team match. The team of Mizuki and Yuki Aino took on the team of Raku and Himawari. Raku did not come out with her pillow, although I did read that she had her pillow with her in Malaysia. So the pillow made a trip to Malaysia with Raku, but wasn't able to make it over here to Inspiration. But she did have some sleep masks with her. When Mizuki and Yuki Aino came out, we did get Shadow Mizuki. That's what I'm going to call the Black Gear Mizuki from now on. Raku, in a really, really funny moment. If you're familiar with Himawari, she gets a lot of calls pre-match, and she usually acknowledges them very loudly, very animated. And Raku started shouting for her and calling her pre-match, which I thought was kind of funny. A little bit of an insider humor if you're really paying attention. Raku and Yuki start us out. Yuki, for some reason, puts on one of the sleep masks, and I guess she fell for Raku's trickery. Raku tries to roll her up, only gets a 2 count. That leads to Yuki just swinging wildly at anyone nearby. I think she hits Mizuki at one point. It should be easy, you just take off the sleep mask, but maybe Raku had some sort of a spell on it or something, I don't know. But this match started off with some typical shenanigans. We got Himawari's hair whips coming into play pretty early. We got a very early Oyasumi Express as well. Once all of that silliness was out of the way, Yuki and Mizuki basically just take turns beating the crap out of Raku for a little while. Himawari came in at one point. She got her butt kicked too. Himawari and Raku do have a little bit of a brief flurry of offense towards the end of the match. There's actually a really nice exchange between Raku and Mizuki coming down to the closing part of the match where Raku actually almost wins and she's able to put on this like really cool, I think it's like a guillotine choke, but unfortunately, Mizuki is able to pin Raku with a cutie special at 14 minutes and 59 seconds. I say unfortunately, nothing against Mizuki, love Mizuki, but they had me for a second. I did think that Raku was going to do something crazy and submit Mizuki, and I should know better. I should know better. I should know better. But regardless, fun match won by Mizuki and Yuki Aino. And in our main event of the evening, the fourth match of four, another tag team match, Shoko Nakajima and Miyu Yamashita teamed together to take on Yuki Kamifuku and Yu. Yu returning to a TJPW ring for the first time since December of 2018. And because this match was a little bit special, because each of these competitors have a certain stature, all of them did get individual separate entrances for this, which I thought was a little bit of a nice touch. Yu and Shoko start us out, and if you thought we had a really fun combination of power and speed in the opening match, with Toribami and Toga. This is like the evolved version of that. Yu obviously a very strong competitor, Shoko a very fast competitor. We actually got some nice tag team maneuvers between Yu and Kamifuku as well. That was kind of fun. They both were poking the eyes of their opponents. They went for jumping sentons as well. Just some really nice tag team maneuvers. Um, After this is over, Miyu comes in and absolutely just brings it to Kamifuku. Yu and Miyu have a really, really good back and forth, very strong exchange filled with chops and kicks. And I mean, these two ladies just sent it into one another. It was really, really fun to watch. Kami Yu tried to channel some of Yu's fire, some of Yu's strength in an second exchange that she had with Yamashita, but just wasn't able to get quite there. All four of these women just absolutely bring it to each other non-stop. This match goes to a full 20-minute time limit draw, and this was wonderful. This was a really terrific match from pillar to post. It was nice to see Yu come back into the ring after all these times, the TJPW ring, I should say. Really, all four of these women brought it in this match. No one looked bad by any means. A fun match, a time limit draw probably makes sense given all of the competitors that are here. Especially, if you look at this on paper, you might say, well, maybe Yuki would take the pinfall here, but she is the tag team champion, so time limit draw I think makes the most sense for this match. After the match is over, all four of these women do get a chance to speak on the microphone. They reflect over the past 7 years, how bittersweet it is that Yu is retiring. Yu actually gets quite emotional in the ring. She thanked TJPW, she thanked all of her fans, or the fans of TJPW, for allowing her to return on her retirement road. She is going to be retiring before the end of the year. I think it's like the 27th or 28th of December, so it's really just around the corner, only about a month or so away. I believe her final opponent is her tag team partner, Chihiro Hashimoto, so that should be a fun way to send you off. But really nice to see you have a chance to come back to TJPW one final time. All four of these ladies did give backstage comments as well, and they mostly mirrored what was said in the ring. They showed even more emotion, all of them. Even Yamashita started to get choked up a little bit, and I don't think she was expecting it either based on her reaction to that. But you spoke about being a little bit childish back in the day when she was wrestling in TJPW and how she butted heads with Tetsuya Koda quite often. She was very candid about that, but she did really emphasize that she was grateful that she was able to return. And then she ended her final comments backstage by saying TJPW is her home, and she considers TJPW her home, and she felt as if she was coming home for this show. Kamifuku did ask her what she will be doing after she retires, and Yu's response was, didn't even hesitate. She just said, walking my dog, which awesome. Love that. So it sounds like Yu, once she retires, will just continue living her life. But she did say that she will be watching as a fan of TJPW post retirement. For those of you who might be a little bit newer to TJPW, Yu actually means quite a bit to the history of TJPW. She's not one of the four pillars. She hasn't been around from day one, but she is a former Princess of Princess champion. She's a multi-time Tokyo Princess Cup winner, and there's very few people who have won the Tokyo Princess Cup more than once. Quite frankly, there's very few people who have won it at all. I think there's only been 12 or 13 Tokyo Princess Cups, so to win it more than once is quite the achievement. Yu went on this really crazy undefeated streak. She was young in her career, and as she mentioned, she was young, and maybe she had a little bit of childish antics or whatever that means, but it's nice to see her come full circle. There's quite a few Yu matches in TJPW history that are worth checking out if you want to go back into Wrestle Universe and watch some of Yu's competition. I think Yu's had quite a lovely career, a short one, but she's made her choice to retire. I think she said while she still loves wrestling, which is a very admirable thing to do. So overall, this show, very, very fun, very easy watching at only 90 minutes long. It's really nice to see you mix it up with some of her old friends again. And of course, Gabeji-chan, an absolute delight to see that match as well. So getting a little more serious, I do think maybe the main event is probably the match of the night. But if you love comedy wrestling and you love TJPW, which really that's what TJPW is all about, the Gabeji-chan match a very close second. Jumping from our reviews into our previews, we have another multi-show week coming up for TJPW. I think that's like 3 in a row now, maybe. But you know what? I'm not complaining. We have Uta Takami's homecoming show, and this is officially called Uta Takami's Hometown Return Show. Oh, I'm going to butcher this so hard. Hayakum, Hayakuman Goku. Hayakuman Goku Smile in Kanazawa. From the research that I did, I guess that's some sort of a historical phrase or historical, like, not a joke is not the right word, but like an insider term for people from the Kanazawa region. So I'm gonna try it one more time. Hayakuman Goku Smile in Kanazawa. This will be on Saturday, November 22nd from the Kanazawa Distribution Hall in Ishikawa. This will be video on demand, although it's going to be releasing on Tuesday, the 25th, so just a few short days to wait for this one. We will have one competitor absent, Miyu Yamashita. She's going to start touring Europe for the second half of this month. We'll talk all about those dates in a little bit here, but Miyu will unfortunately be absent from this show. Looking over the match card here, no particular order, we will have 3 singles matches. Shino Suzuki will take on Ren Kanatsu, Mifu Ishida will take on Suzume, Yuki Arai will take on Kira Summer. We'll also have 2 tag team matches, Arisu Endo and Haru Kazushiro teaming together to take on Mizuki and Toga. And then we'll have Uber Eats taking on the team of Yuki Aino and Chika Nanase. There's also a 6-woman tag, Rakupam and Rika Tatsumi on one side, and they will take on Mihiro Kiryu, Hyper Misao, and Kaya Toribami on the other side. I'll note that Mihiro, still being the Iron Man champion, will likely head into this match as the Iron Man champion. Rika Tatsumi, who she beat for the title, on the opposite side of the ring. I would expect some sort of shenanigans over the Iron Man title here as well. And I know I said in no particular order, but almost certain that this will be the main event, a tag team match, Himawari and Shoko Nakajima on one side. They're going to be taking on Miyu Watanabe and Uta Takami. I believe that streamers are allowed only for Uta Takami, so we'll see. This is our 3rd homecoming show in just a few short months. We had Mihiro's homecoming show in Gunma a few weeks ago. Prior to that, we had Arisu's homecoming show, so this should be a fun one. Nice to see Uta get a homecoming show. And then on top of the Uta show, we have 2 more shows as well. This is going to be, I guess, a double shot, a 2-shot, I don't know what you'd call it, but 2 shows that will be taking place on the same day is what I'm trying to say here. TJPW Organizing Festival Part 1 and Part 2. Now these are the shows where the roster is split up into 2 teams, Team TJ and Team PW. Let me take that again. Team TJ and Team PW. It's easy enough, right? It's the numbers. I can't even speak. It is the letters of the promotion, TJPW. Perhaps I'm flustered over this because I feel like this was announced like over 2 months ago, and we have just been kind of crawling our way towards this event. And I mean, that's something that is uncommon. TJPW typically announces shows well in advance, but for a show that has like a unique gimmick to it, I would have thought that it would maybe mean a little bit more, and maybe they will announce something as we get a little bit closer, but for now it really just seems like it is 2 separate shows on the same day where the roster is split in half. So if you want to see the full roster and you're attending this TJPW show, you'd have to go to both shows. You'd really have to pay for 2 tickets. So it's an interesting concept. I think it'd be really neat if they do some sort of like a payoff between Team TJ and Team PW and maybe up the stakes a little bit. Maybe have the 2, I don't know, talk on social media a little bit, or maybe there's some seeds planted at the Uta Takami homecoming show. That would be kind of fun. And then maybe you can do some sort of like a, I don't know, 4 versus 4, 6-woman tag, something at like the upcoming Ocha Pro show at Corcoran Hall, the upcoming Merry Christmas show. Just thoughts, but anyway, here's what we have. These shows are taking place on Monday, November 24th from the Itabashi Green Hall in Tokyo. Both of them are on video on demand. Part 1 will be coming out on Thursday the 27th, so on Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving. And then Part 2 is actually coming out a day later on Friday the 28th. So this is what I mean when I say earlier the VOD schedule might get a little bit tricky. We'll probably only be able to watch maybe one of these shows to be able to review them next week. So we'll have to get a little bit creative as it relates to the podcast. But as per the Uta Takami show, Miyu Yamashita will also be absent here. She'll be touring Europe still. Really, again, I think it's through the rest of November that she will be absent. Okay, so the matches that we're looking at here for part one, Team TJ. This is the event that's taking place earlier in the day on Monday. There is a singles match between Kaya Toribami and Chika Nanase, a singles match between Hyper Misao and Himawari, a singles match between Rika Tatsumi and Mahiro Kiryu. So, said it before, but Iron Man title shenanigans will more than likely be a part of this, just based on how they're building up to this with that title. Another singles match will be Arisu Endo and Kira Summer. And then there was one tag team match, which I imagine will be the main event. Yuki Kamifuku and Yuki Aino will be taking on Uta Takami and Yuki Arai. So Yuki's will be wild here in this tag team match. And then part two, Team PW. This will be the evening show. Also, same format, multiple singles matches and a tag team main event. We'll see Raku taking on Ren Kanatsu, Wakana Uehara taking on Mifu Ishida, Shoko Nakajima taking on Pam Harajuku, Mizuki taking on Shino Suzuki, and in what I will imagine will be the main event here, this tag team match, we'll see Miyu Watanabe and Toga teaming together to take on Haru Kazushiro and Suzume. So this will be our first preview match for that upcoming Princess of Princess title defense at the TJPW 26 show. So this will be a lot of fun. We're going to get started well in advance here. This is November 24th. So over a month, maybe 5 weeks or so before that Corcoran Hall show on January 4th. I hope we'll get quite a few preview matches. Obviously, I know we have the pit stop with the Bangkok show and the title defense against Matcha and all, but that does seem to be more of like a speed bump for Miyu as she makes her way to Corcoran on January 4th. So my thought here, hopefully the first of many preview matches to come. Let's tap into some graduates, some excursions, a little bit of a lighter graduate corner this time around. We're only going to talk about Maki Itoh. Maki did have another match in America just this past Saturday, November 15th. She wrestled Shayna Baszler at House of Glory Super Clash. I believe this was like coincided with some sort of a convention or some sort of event where you can meet talent. I saw quite a lot of pictures getting posted by friends and acquaintances and just on social media. Maki herself was posting a lot of meet and greet pictures. I believe her and Shayna actually did some sort of a meet and greet together, which is kind of funny. But they did face off here at this Super Clash show. Maki, because she is out of GCW here, did come out to her typical Brooklyn the Hole song. She did not come out to For Whom the Bell Tolls. There was a bit of an awkward moment where she was introduced as the Pink Striker. I don't think that anybody really knew any different. Maki didn't react to it, but as we fans know of TJPW, she is certainly not the Pink Striker, and I'm sure that there is one Pink Striker out there and former tag team partner that would have a lot to say about that. But anyway, this match was pretty interesting. Maki did end up losing it by passing out to the Kafuda clutch at 11 minutes and 17 seconds. Maki's US tour continues this weekend. I believe she took a pit stop on her way. She met up with Sayuri Namba and they went to Puerto Rico or something like that. I saw a couple of pictures on their Instagram accounts, but Maki picks up her America tour this weekend on the 22nd of November, Saturday, at GCW's Dream On in New Jersey. She'll be taking on Zeta Steel. And then on Sunday, November 23rd, JCW's Home for the Holidays, also in New Jersey. She was scheduled to wrestle Queen Aminata. I think that Queen Aminata is hurt, so I don't know if that match will be taking place anymore. Maki is still billed on the show, but they've quietly kind of pulled the graphics down for Queen Aminata, so we'll have to see. I'm sure that'll get announced in the next day or so. And in addition to Maki Itoh touring outside of Japan, Miyu Yamashita is going to join her touring outside of Japan, although she will be touring in Europe. Quite the upcoming schedule for Miyu Yamashita, so we'll run through these relatively quickly here. On Friday, November 21st, she has a singles match against Dani Luna at WXW's 25th anniversary tour in Germany. On November 22nd, Saturday, she has another singles match against Ahura. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Ahura. Also at that same tour, WXW 25th anniversary tour in Germany. And then on Sunday, November 23rd, she's wrestling Kanji in England at RevPro live in Coventry. And then her tour continues into next weekend as well. On Friday the 28th, she has a match in France at WPE and QPW's episode 2. Doesn't have her opponent announced just yet. On Saturday the 29th, she's wrestling in Italy. She'll take on JJ Gale at SAJ Final Bout 4. Maki Itoh is actually supposed to be on that show as well, that Italy show, but Maki's opponent hasn't been announced yet. So it'll be interesting to see the 1-2 million team get back together. I'm sure they'll cross paths while they're there at the same show. And then Yamashita will wrap up her Europe tour on Sunday, November 30th. No opponent announced yet, but she will be at Progress Vendetta 3 in England again. So quite the week or two for Yamashita, really touring throughout Europe. She's done it before, but it'll be interesting to see how many of these matches come out, how many of these matches we'll be able to see. So we'll have quite the Miyu Yamashita catalog to dig into in the next 2 weeks or so. And then the last show to touch on, not really a foreign excursion. This did take place in Tokyo, but IWA Thailand, Set Up Thailand came together and had a joint show in Japan. So a Thailand-based company, Set Up Thailand, running a show in Japan. It was called A New Dawn. It took place on Friday, November 14th from Tokyo Square in Itabashi. And we had a few TJPW girls represented on this show. We had a three-way match for the Setup All Asia Women's title, where Matcha, the current Setup All Asia Women's Champion, defended against Pam Harajuku and Ram Kai Chow. And looking online, this was referred to as a Bangkok death match. That sounds a lot more intense than I'm sure it was. I haven't seen any video of this event just yet. I'll throw that out there. So Bangkok deathmatch, from the write-up, it seems to have been more of like the death match that Rika Tatsumi and Pam Harajuku had back at Wrestle Princess 6. So maybe there was a little bit more fun deathmatch weapons involved, we'll say that. Regardless, Matcha was able to successfully defend her title. She pinned Pam with a Saito suplex in about 9-10 minutes or so. And then in a little bit of bigger news, the IWA Japan Setup World Tag Titles changed hands. Miyu Yamashita and Kaya Toribami defeated Andrew Tang and Jake De Leon, and then also Kappa Kozo and Kappa Jr. when Kaya Toribami got the win for her team, pinning Kappa Kozo with a Sento Choryu in 9 minutes and 23 seconds. So new IWA Setup Japan World Tag Champions, and we saw those belts at that Inspiration show that we just talked about. I will admit, I did think a title was going to change hands at this New Dawn show. I didn't expect it to be that tag team championship though. With TJPW's Bangkok show only about 3 weeks away, I thought that we might see Pam beat Matcha for the championship, and then maybe they run it back in a singles match, but I suppose that they've already done something like that, and Pam has wrestled Matcha a handful of times. Obviously, of course, now we know that Matcha has made her challenge for the Princess of Princess title, and that singles match will be taking place on that TJPW Bangkok show, but leading into this, I thought that Pam might have picked up the victory, but it's nice to see a pleasant surprise that we do have a TJPW roster member, two of them, winning a championship coming off of this show. I wonder if these Setup World Tag titles will be defended on that Bangkok show. You have to imagine that they will. Maybe it's just a short reign for Yamashita and Toribami and they lose it back, but whether it's a short reign, whether it's a long reign, it's really nice to see Yamashita add another title to her collection. She's had such a Rolodex of championships from really different continents at this point in her career, and really cool to see Kaya Toribami win a championship. I believe this is her first ever championship. She hasn't won anything in TJPW, so I believe this is her first championship, and it's nice to see this pairing of Yamashita and Kaya kind of paying off a little bit. I am almost certain that we will see them wrestle in the Max Heart tournament come January. And with that, that'll just about bring us to the end of this week's show. It's a little bit of a shorter one, so I don't know if I'll need the cold spray and the ice packs, but why don't you send him over on to G-chan? I think he could certainly use them after that Rika Tatsumi match. On next week's show, We'll review Uta Takami's Homecoming and both parts of the Organizing Festival. We'll also preview Step Forward 2-5, which is upcoming, but no matches have been announced just yet, so we'll have to keep our ears to the ground and see what might be happening on that show. I hope you enjoyed the show today. If you did, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss any future episodes. You can follow us at Tokyo Joshi Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and X. You can also send us an email as well, tokyojoshipod@gmail.com. But above all else, remember to keep your hearts burning, stay magical, my friends, and we'll see you next week on the Tokyo Joshi Pod.